Hey, so here we are. It's kind of an after show thing. Just finished, and we just had so much to talk about today. We didn't get a chance to talk about a couple of really big things. One of them is Russia, and so Stu's here, and also Jason Buttrill, who is our chief researcher and global affairs. You know, I don't mean politics. He has affairs all over the globe. Yeah. And I want to just talk about. Let's start with Russia, because I think what Donald Trump is doing is playing five-dimensional chess. I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so too. But I give him the benefit of the doubt, because I think that's what he's doing. You know, he went in and is like, you know what? We need your rare earth minerals. And at first that bothered me. And then I'm like, well, now wait a minute. Hang on just a second. What are we going to be giving? Because it's not just for the 100 billion or 200 billion or 700 trillion that we actually sent over there. I think it is, look, you want to make sure Russia never comes in. You make sure we have vested interest here. He's negotiating like a guy who's trying to get the best deal for America. Mm-hmm. We're not going to come in. We have no interest here. However, we have to have rare earth minerals. This is China's Silken Road thing. Yeah. Is it not?
Yeah. Before I address that, I would like to say that the fact that the potential of World War III made the after show.
It's amazing.
What the hell was being talked about in the other 3 hours?
Yeah, I know.
And a Glenn Beck radio show.
Yeah, I know.
Holy crap.
It's crazy.
I will say with the rare earth minerals things, I think it's genius on a couple different levels.
Yep.
On one, he's bringing out into the open exactly what the Democrats have been after since 2014 and before.
Yep.
So now he's laying out on the table, no more secret, okay?
Yeah.
This is what the establishment on my side wants. Now, will it benefit this side of the this side of the party as well? Sure. But let's just put all of our cards out on the table. That is how you negotiate. Not by holding in a little secret compartment, which I'm not saying you have one of those at your poker table, like at the ranch. I'm not saying that exists.
Yeah.
But there's no secret little thing out here. You know, he's putting all the, don't worry about it, Stu.
Don't worry about it. Come play
definitely
poker.
not
Just come play poker
with me.
Yeah, sometime. So you're just putting all the cards on the table. That's how negotiations are done. But he's also doing something else. He's signaling to Putin, look, there's nothing, I'm not hiding anything here.
Yeah.
This is all about interests, right?
Yeah, aligning interests.
If you want to deal with us, you're dealing with hard-nosed geopolitical interests.
Yes.
There's nothing else here at stake but that. Now you can come to the negotiating table and offer me something.
Yeah.
I can offer you something.
We're not trying to be a gateway into your country. This is our interest here. Our interest is that. We don't want any trouble with you. We're not going to put, a superhighway into Russia, because our interest is in Ukraine, and we want the rare earth minerals because we need them if we're going to lead the world in tech. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And you notice he flexed that muscle first. He looks like he's cozying up to Russia because he needs to be able to, flex with Russia. He has to have the rare earth mineral. Well, now you got the United States in here. And it's not NATO, but you have the United States. So we're not going to put up with, you're not doing this again. And so he's played this, he is perhaps the best negotiator any country has ever had.
And I will say that this is not revolutionary thought here. This is the way foreign policy, things like that used to be done. It's just post-Cold War, we shifted into this hazy, no, we're doing this because we're the most righteous nation in the planet, even though we're also cool with the Saudis and Erdogan and Turkey, I think. There's nothing, it's just about interest here. And you do not do...
It's transparency.
It's transparency, and you do a negotiation by recognizing that both sides have interests in this thing. You do not do a negotiation when you have the UN, which we all know is ridiculous anyway and worthless, but when every single year they're going to do this ceremonial vote, which they just had again, where they say, let's condemn Russia for their invasion again. But why? We're doing it again. Okay, but why? Does it have anything at all to do with there's certain sides of people at the table that now are looking for peace and not war? Mm-hmm. Yes! Oh, crap, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Right.
No. We're just going to do it again.
Right.
We're going to vote again so that they look like the bad guys, the ultimate evil guys twisting their mustachios, and we look like the guy that's coming to save the chick that's tied up on the railroad. That's why we want to do it.
And look at how he's treated Macron. Yesterday, Macron comes in, and he was like a little lapdog for Donald Trump. Oh, you are so great. I had the wonderful chat with you. And he all of a sudden, okay, we're going to do 4% of our GDP is going to go. I mean, look at what Donald Trump got from Macron. And an understanding that we're not going to put any boots there. You want to guarantee the peace? You can guarantee we're not putting boots there. We're not doing that. Now, no president has ever done this in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to say that's what we have to admit now after this many years and this much escalation. I think that now going back to the UN vote, which is what everybody was clutching their pearls on, that we kind of we did vote along with Russia and not condemning this invasion because we've already done it in the past. Everyone understands. Stu's giving me the stink eye, and I'm just going to say this anyway. Is yes, I obviously everyone agrees that the invasion shouldn't have happened. All the people should not have died. This is a bad thing, and Russia did do that. But why say it again? That's not how you advance in any kind of negotiation. That's not how you do it. Most of these articles are not putting the main headline that the United States offered a counter resolution that did get voted on, not in the General Assembly, but amongst the Security Council, which did pass, which took out all the inflammatory language. It did not finger point back and forth. It acknowledged the fact that this invasion sucks, the war sucks, and all these people have died.
What do you get out of finger pointing? You just that's
war?
Just beating your chest.
War.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
That's it. I mean, we got that. Everybody finger pointed at the Treaty of Versailles. Congratulations on that one.
Yeah.
That worked out well.
Yeah, I don't care about the resolution at all.
I don't care either.
We've already done that. I mean, I don't know. I think it's relatively clear what happened at the beginning of this, war. That being said, it's like I think we get hung up in Donald Trump's negotiations a little bit too much. I think
Sure.
It's like he's negotiating with someone. It ain't us. Mm-hmm. So I don't need to chase him around every little corner and everything he says because it does me no good. I want to judge him on his results. And for example, he at least claims, again, this is not done, but he claims that that Putin has now approved European troops inside of Ukraine. That's true. That's a major concession from Russia.
Huge.
I mean, I would like Russia to get nothing out of this because I think that they were the aggressor here.
Yeah.
However, we are where we are. And if we want this thing to end and not blow up into World War III, we have to, at some point, look at this and come to some sort of conclusion. And I want it over without it blowing up into a giant nuclear war.
Yeah.
And I also want, in the future, Russia to be prevented from doing this again. And I think that's probably the best Ukraine can hope for at this point. They're not going to get Crimea back. It's probably not happening.
No.
Now, they can try. By the way, we should point out, they can try. They can do all this stuff on their own. They are a sovereign nation and can try to do everything they want to try to get that territory back. But we are not required to participate in that.
Correct.
And, if they want to go to Europe and get all that money for all that stuff, okay. But, I mean, we have a new president. He has a new policy. We do have to honor what the country, did. I think it's weird to go to Ukraine and say, hey, here's all this money, and then later on act like they have to pay it back. They don't. They don't have to pay it back probably because we did make promises by a guy who unfortunately was president of the United States, Joe Biden. That being said, Donald Trump also has the opportunity as a new president to change the policy and to try to change the dynamic of this negotiation. Seems like that's what he's trying to do. I'm not going to sit here and just chase around because he starts calling, Zelensky names. I don't need to freaking upend my life. I don't know. Let's see where this thing ends. Let's see what he does, not what he says. Yeah, exactly. These are all negotiations, and we act as if this guy wasn't already president. We saw all this. We all saw this before.
And the deals he has made so far, assuming that they all come through, in Latin America,
Israel.
Yeah,
worked out really well.
The way he is dealing with these countries is working.
Yeah, because...
Did you, by the way, see CPAC, how many leaders of foreign countries were there for his speech at CPAC? It was remarkable.
Yeah.
Hungary, Poland, who else was there? Argentina, El Salvador, just a bunch of countries that are thinking like we are thinking now. It was nice to see.
It's because the style is transactional.
Yes.
It's like business. It's business.
Business. Mm-hmm.
You're never going to get anywhere with some of these countries and get anything pulled off like the Abraham Accords. When you come in and say, look, I'm directing these negotiations. Why? Because we're the United States of effing America.
Yeah, and we're better than you.
And we're so much better than you. That gets nowhere. You get nothing done. But what does get done is when you say, look, this is what you can get. This is what we want. Can we meet in the middle? A normal
Barack Obama would have
But
called this pragmatic.
But what you just described is how he talks to our allies, which is, I think, disconcerting to a lot of people, right? Like, he bosses them around and he tosses them around, and that's how he changes the dynamic.
This is so ridiculous.
But
I
it
hate
is how he
that.
does.
And so allies do not mean marriage for life.
No.
That's the same
Exactly,
thing.
yeah.
I'm going to say the thing that's going to piss off a lot of people right now, but NATO is a temporary alliance, not marriage for life.
True.
Agreed.
That's what it is. And when
Agreed.
it
When
stops,
it's beneficial for us, we stay in it. If it's not, we don't.
Exactly.
And look, you can argue all the. I know you've done shows on this, Jason, in particular, but it's like at the end of the day, like, this is how he does it. He's nice to our enemies and he's mean to our allies. That's how he operates at the beginning of a negotiation.
Yeah.
He usually has some sort of end game in mind, and it may very well be our interest in these minerals, right, where we do benefit from them as a country, but also
So do they.
it puts us in a position where we don't want Russia to go
Correct.
in there anymore, and
You're
that
just
this
aligning
probably
interests.
long-term benefits them.
Yes.
even though they might not like it.
Yes.
Again, he might not go down this road. I don't know. We're all analyzing some weird code, but that's the point. Like, I'm out of the
if
code
you-
game at this
if
point.
you
Let's see
would-
where he lands. Let's see what happens.
If you would start with the premise, he loves the country, and he's not trying to enrich himself or his buddies. He loves the country and is trying to make a good deal for the country and the world. You have no problem with this, because every time he has done these things, he has made a better deal.
But
I think it's funny
to
when
extend it real quick, Jason. The other side of this is also true. The media views him through the prism that he's a fascist and Hitler and the worst person on the world, and he hates America. So if you view it from that prism, you can also find all the negatives, because he's saying everything. He's saying all really good things and all really bad things and all over the place, and that's how he manages these things.
Little Rocket Man.
Right.
He's going to
He's
we're going to
and
vaporize
he's
it.
my best friend.
And he's
We're
my
great
best
friends.
friend.
Like,
Yeah.
it's all. He's
Neither.
all. This is how he does these things, and if you realize that, you kind of like. You back off. It's like, you're watching a Fast and Furious sequel. It's like there's lots of car crashes, but at the end they're going to say family a bunch of times and everything's going to be fine.
Right. And you know what? You get to the end of when you hear early American policy, it was to be enemy to none, friend to all. Well, that's Little Rocket Man. I love him. I mean, we got a lot that we don't have in common, but I don't have a problem with him.
Right.
Why-
He obviously has a problem with
clearly-
Kim Jong-un.
Yes.
The man is murdering a bunch of his people.
Correct.
He's starving. Like,
Correct.
This is not, North Korea is not the way that Donald Trump would picture a nation. Look at the picture between South Korea and North Korea. All the lights are out. This is not the world that Donald Trump wants. He wants all the glitz and the glamour of every light.
Yeah.
But stating the obvious in negotiation like that's not going to get you anywhere.
No.
It's going to get you the stagnation that you had before. And then the whole thing, like you mentioned, being mean to our allies, which again irritates me when I hear people talk like that, because what else are you supposed to do when you've had this marriage that you're never supposed to negotiate? You constantly get taken advantage of in the global stage. So him being mean, when I see it, is him looking at a group of countries that are still operating on a system that was built post-World War II,
Yes.
where he's saying like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be absolutely nice here, but why do you have like 50% more tariffs on like automobiles, and we're getting screwed when we try to. How is that fair when it's built off of a
He is
system
the
that helped you
first-
in Reconstruction after World War II?
This is the first.
Yeah.
This is the first administration that is now post World War II. Whatever systems we set up after World War II, and we made all these deals, and we're all going to behave a certain way. He's like, yeah, none of that works anymore, so we're not doing that.
50 years later.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and look, those 50 years have been pretty good for the
They're
United
good,
States.
but
So
it's-
you don't
but it's not
necessarily want to
working
blow
now.
that up for no
No, but
reason.
it's-
But like,
it's
if
not
it's not
working.
working, and I think like he sees a calcification in all of this that he wants to break up.
Yeah.
And by the way, he should be judged on the results of this.
Yes.
This doesn't mean he's a magician. He might screw this up. It might go poorly. If it does, we should judge him that way.
Yeah.
But like to get all fired up about every freaking truth he puts out there, it's just silly. And it's like these really sophisticated people in the media. It's like, come on, you guys know this. You guys were all there. You were watching this. You watched it happen last time. You watched it with North Korea. You watched it in Israel. You watched it all over the world. This is how he handles it. We know you don't like it, but the American people said they did.
Yeah.
And so they were on board. You're going to have to understand that this is the world we live in.
And it amazes me that people don't see that he is just moving the Overton window. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, that's
another
just
moving the Overton window, and we're seemingly doing well for that.
I gotta go tape my show.
Wait. Mm-hmm. Before that, you got to tell me the Congo story. Have you heard this? This will be on tomorrow's show.
Okay.
Listen to this.
Again, another thing that should probably make the main show. Three kids in the Congo, a little hungry. That happens in the Congo, as you might know. They are looking for some food. They find some food in the form of a, say it with me, dead bat carcass.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. No. Now, here's the upside. When he first told me this story, I thought one of the kids is going to eat the other kid.
Yeah.
And so
no, it wasn't cannibalism.
Happy news, it wasn't cannibalism.
It was a bat carcass.
It was just they were like, hey, that looks like a bat. Looks good. Let's eat it.
Now, fast forward a few...
Bat soup. Sounds like it's familiar to me.
Sounds familiar.
They just probably just ate it wings and all.
Now, could have been like, look, maybe the meat was rancid, right? Bad things happen when you eat bad meat. And I will say, about 3 days after they ate this bat carcass, all three kids were dead. So that's bad.
That's bad.
Now that's bad. But again, could be rancid meat. They ate the meat. They ate the bat.
Yeah,
so that's bad. Fast forward a few days later, now 50 additional people are dead.
Oh no.
There's now 413 cases of this. 431 cases of this illness.
And they're testing negative for Ebola
and Marburg.
Yeah, so it's not that.
It's neither one of those. Yeah. Symptoms are fever, vomiting, diarrhea, muscle aches, headaches, fatigue.
And then I think you melt.
The significant portions of the deaths taking place within 48 hours of the onset of symptoms.
So there's some more good news. And you get this, and you're like, I don't really feel dead.
Right, and remember we used to talk about with COVID, we'd have that fatality rate. I'm like, what is it? Is it 0.4%? Is it 0.5%? What is it? This one's so far 12.3%.
Wow.
So, but the good news is, I don't think we've cordoned that part of Congo off yet.
Right.
So I don't know about you, but I'd have flamethrowers making just a giant ring of fire around that whole area.
That virus specifically is what has always freaked me. Ever since Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman. I was like, when that goes out, I'm moving to the mountains. Because I think I'm never coming back. How dangerous would this be right now after what we just went through? Because so many people now would completely blow off the U.S. government if they told them there was a 12.3% fatality rate on some virus that's coming to. They're so sick of it. They heard all this. You lied to us last time. We're not listening to a word you said.
Yeah, but 12 out of every 100 people.
It would make an impact quickly. But it would take. There would be a lot of people who would still, not want to hear it.
Were any of these kids related at all to Fauci?
He was doing gain of function research in the area. Right. I don't know if he was just down there. That was just a vacation. He was just down there.
He was just doing that for fun. All right. Thank you, Pat.
Thanks.
Thank you, Stu. I appreciate it. Let me get Michaela in here because we have, before we get to Colony Ridge, some big news on that. Michaela, tell us a story quickly of the Mass family and what's happening today.
Okay.
An update of Little Baby Sparrow.
Little Baby Sparrow update. In a nutshell, if you haven't heard the full story of Baby Sparrow, you can go to glennbeck.com/SaveBabySparrow. But in a nutshell, our State Department attempted to sweep the life of a little girl under the rug to cover up for their botched attempt at peace in Afghanistan.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Yes, so she was recovered by our soldiers during a mission in Afghanistan when her parents, biological parents, who were likely foreign fighters, were killed. Then two Americans...
But not just killed.
Yes.
Killed in a firefight, and then mom, while holding Little Baby Sparrow...
Potentially holding or nearby,
blew herself up.
Yes.
So, I mean, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, and they were killed. No.
It was a fight to the death against our soldiers.
Right.
And then our soldiers decided to save the baby of their enemies. And then two American parents decided to step up and adopt her to ensure her survival, because after the explosion of the IED, she had a lot of medical needs. I mean, she was 6 weeks old at this point.
And the Afghanis that were on our side against the Taliban wanted her dead.
They did. They tried to kill her.
The Taliban wants her to be a symbol, to be a fighter, so they can blow her up later or have her blow herself up later. And she has absolutely no future with the Taliban. No. I mean, it's either blow yourself up or, just be covered as a woman with no options as you grow up. So our State Department, it was just evil on this. And they're having their court case reheard today.
Yes. So there's a battle for her custody. It's important to understand why. It's because her mere existence would show that the peace agreement that we made with Afghanistan, which stipulated there were no foreign fighters in Afghanistan, well, she's the daughter of a foreign fighter. Right. Thus, the State Department finds her existence inconvenient.
Right. She has to be Afghani, so she has to go back to Afghanistan.
And so today in Virginia, where her American parents adopted her, she is facing a case where if it goes the wrong way, she is potentially ripped from her American family who loves her, who have been with her for multiple years, raising her, helping to recuperate from all the trauma she's experienced. She's ripped from them. She's sent to Afghanistan with 2 likely non-relative, unvetted, potentially Taliban-linked claimants back to a place where where her family is here. So that's on the line today, right now, in the Supreme Court of Virginia.
Okay. We need your prayers, and specifically, we need the State Department, the DOJ, and the Pentagon to step up and do the right thing and correct the things that the Biden administration did. And go ahead.
If you'd like a little bit of good news on this front about the power of what our audience is doing, I've been listening. I think some good news is in order for all of us, perhaps. Some good news is that I believe our audience is not going to let Baby Sparrow be sent back to Afghanistan. And here's just a little glimmer of hope. There's a lot of good news that is coming that we can't talk about yet, but I can tell you a little bit. There is a woman who's a long-standing bureaucrat in D.C. She was instrumental. Donna Welton was instrumental in placing Baby Sparrow with these unvetted claimants in Afghanistan. Interesting timing. Yeah. She has decided to, let me say it correctly, conclude her tenure in advance of imminent retirement in the last few days.
Oh my gosh.
So I believe this timing has something to do with the fact that our audience has been sharing this story. People like Sean Ryan have gone out and shared this story, naming her by name. And we can't say for sure, but I have a hunch that the power of everyone sharing her story and getting involved is already putting pressure in the right places, and the right people are starting to bow out. And hopefully that will mean this is just the beginning of miracles for Baby Sparrow.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You've done great work on this.
Thank you.
You should watch the podcast, or you can get all the information at glennbeck.com. All right, let me do one more thing here, and that is Colony Ridge. We did, you and I both went to Colony Ridge 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Seems like another lifetime ago.
It's that long. Wow.
I know. And we went to Colony Ridge because this is a place in Texas that is, it's all illegals, or that's what it feels like. Now, Colony Ridge would deny that, but they don't require any proof of ID or anything else. And Colony Ridge has done all of the financing for these people. That way, they don't have to go to a bank with any kind of ID. And it's
some like EIN number, something like that, or a passport.
Yeah.
But nothing that would show like U.S. citizenship.
Yes. And they've been advertising in foreign countries saying, own a piece of America. And it is enormous. It is gigantic. We've been talking about this for a while. We've been talking to the state of Texas about this for a while. And yesterday, it became something on everybody's radar and active. What happened yesterday?
So the governor of Texas said that the operation was starting that day, yesterday, to go in and start clearing out Colony Ridge of illegals. And as of this morning, we're actually getting video footage of that operation. Tom Homan said that the border czar said that they arrested 90 criminal illegals. It sounds like So let's put that in context. 90 people. There's about like 120,000 people that live in that area.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's there. It sounds the way just from hearing him talk. It sounds like they're starting this rollout or this phase similar to how they're doing it in the entire country.
Sure.
They're focusing on the violent criminals first.
Yeah.
Then they're moving
because
on.
the good guys generally, the ones that are here that are not violent criminals, are going to be like, I don't want the hassle. I'm moving.
Yeah.
I'm just going back home, and they'll self-deport. And then those who don't, they'll just go and get.
Yeah,
It's hard deport them.
It's hard to describe, and we saw it when we were there. Like you literally feel like you're stepping into a third world country,
Big time.
Once, like, remember there was that area right in the beginning where it's got like the more affluent people,
Yeah.
like the nicer houses. But you drive 1 to 2 blocks in.
Oh, and it's like scruffy dogs in the middle of the street, and it's like every third world country you've ever seen.
No zoning
Yeah.
laws. It seems
Right.
like so they operate businesses inside their homes.
Well, Houston doesn't have zoning laws. It's the only city in the country that it says no zoning. You can build whatever you want, and it generally works.
It
It generally works.
It's the oddest. It feels weird to see that because it's like if you walk in.
Well, it doesn't work in that area because it's just all upside down anyway.
And it looks like if you ever walked around Tijuana,
Yeah,
Mexico, or
it's
San
exactly
Juarez, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's exactly like
Yeah.
that. I talked to, I can't remember how many people, dozens of people, asking them, "Are you a citizen? How'd you get here?"
I have a clip from the real story of Colony Ridge that Jason and I both did. Here's a woman that he talked to. It's cut 9.
Person after person was willing to talk to us, including this woman running a taqueria in her yard.
Do you live here in Colony Ridge?
¿Aquí vives adentro
Sí.
del río?
When did you come here?
¿Cuándo llegaste aquí?
Hace 6 años.
And you came from where?
Houston.
And before
Entre
that,
Houston.
before that,
México.
did you become a citizen when you came over here, or still haven't done that yet?
No.
That was just one conversation.
So here's what I thought of. Here's what I thought of yesterday as I'm seeing this thing start to happen. You know how big that is. I mean, that is enormous. 120,000 people.
Had to fly over the helicopter.
Yeah, and it just never ends. It just never ends. And the 2 brothers that own it, they're the ones doing all the financing. What is going to happen to them when this whole, because, citizens are not going to move into that place because it's just not, it's substandard in everything. It'll either be Poverty Town, USA for citizens, but they'll just lose their shirt. I mean, they are done. For as high as they were and living, like, hey, well, business is business, they're screwed.
Yeah, I remember doing that. I didn't really know what to think about the 2 brothers, especially the one that we spoke to, because when we first talked to him, he sounded like, he's all just about helping out, immigrants, it's for them. But then we would talk to other people that say, yeah, but these lending things, like that, I kind of feel like we were backed into a corner and, held at gunpoint, basically.
It was almost predatory. It felt like predatory lending. And then if you lost the house, they just took it back, and then they could sell it again.
One of my favorite parts, you're asking him about all these like crimes that happen, through all this research. And he's like, no, that wasn't even here. That was like another zip code, all this stuff. No, it's like the crime is like percentage-wise the same as any other community. We walked out and we're like, well, crap, is that true? We go immediately and talk to the sheriff.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, all that stuff you talked about is true. Happened right there in Colony Ridge.
Yeah,
Crime-wise.
Here's where we found the dead bodies.
Yeah, we're like, wait a minute. It was insane.
Wow.
But I guess the biggest point on, that one clip that you just played and thinking about the 120,000 people that are there, I only spoke to one person that said, yeah, I'm a citizen. And it was obvious that this person was a citizen. Everybody else said they were not a citizen. So think about just average that out of 120,000 people. And how much work does Homan and ICE have to do now? And what is that going to take in that area?
It's the cleaning up of just the mess that this last administration left us is phenomenal. I mean, with what we found out yesterday about what's happening with the CIA and everything else with the...
Oh, my gosh.
That is just... If you didn't hear that, listen to the podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast, but it's right at the beginning. And it is just... It's disgusting. You'll never want to pay taxes again You never will. Thank you for coming in. Let me just leave with two things here, because two people cried over their show yesterday. First, let me go give you Joy Reid crying over the last show she's doing.
But also that my show had value, and that that what I was doing had value.
Right.
Had value. The moment of guilt that I felt, that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues, or went hard for immigrants who've done nothing but come to this country like my parents did, or whether we've talked about what the president is doing that is subversive to the Constitution. And yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object.
Yeah, you do.
To have a right to object to little babies being bombed. And where I come down on that is I'm not sorry. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God.
I'm having a hard time because I don't like little babies being bombed, but I also don't like them being raped and then their heads chopped off and then set on fire. I think that's also probably something that has value. And then one more person cried yesterday at the end of his podcast, an end of his radio show. Our good friend Dan Bongino. Here's what he said.
Kind of broke down a bit because it was, this is now real. So President, Attorney General Bondi, and now Director, gosh, that sounds good to say, FBI Director Akash Patel offered this role, a role I expressed an interest in. And ladies and gentlemen, I told you, you see, it's hard for me. I'm going to accept the role proudly as the Deputy Director, the number 2 spot at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Folks, it's a lot to walk away from.
He's a good guy.
Can I say, though?
Yeah.
I don't want him on the sidelines. Did you see him? He's jacked. With his personality, with his belief system, with everything, I want him on the front lines kicking doors down. That's what I want. Or maybe for the first time ever, the deputy director can be a door kicker. I'd like to see that. Let's get that done.
I think they're all door kickers at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
I think all of them are door kickers.
In-house, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, just so I can announce, the White House has offered me the position of, I don't know if you've ever seen Pagliacci, but the fat clown. And I'm still considering that.
Are you a door kicker in this position?
A door kicker? No, just a fat, sad clown.
Oh.
So,
okay.
Yeah. With a nice voice, though.
What an honor.
Nice noise. Yes, thank you.
Imagine that, though. You have a group saying, nah, we're going to keep doing our DEI stuff at the FBI. Cash sends Dan Bongino down to knock on their door.
Not going to be good.
It's not going to be good.
It's not going to end well. All right. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.